Sixers fans, how we feeling out there? Hey y'all, my name is Lauren Gordon. Some of you may already know me on social media as Lauren Fan of the Year. Others may have just stumbled upon this podcast, but either way, I want to first thank all of you for tuning in to Season 2, Episode 1 of my very first podcast. I'm just a Sixers fan, the Lauren Fan of the Year story. Oh, y'all, it's great to be back. Cheers to 2025. And I want to thank y'all for tuning back in again. And I got to give y'all mad props because did y'all know that after I published the season 1 finale, I was informed by PodStatus, a podcast data and monitoring company, that my podcast, this podcast, y'all, was in position 1 in the basketball category of podcasts. And it was in position 6 in the sports category. And that's all because of you. So thanks, y'all. And it's wild because, y'all, when I think about it, I decided to do this podcast to pass down my Sixers story to my kids so that they can keep the memories and stories alive. And by doing this podcast and going down memory lane over the past 4 or 5 decades, what I didn't realize was I've been able to actually confront some unresolved issues in my past that I didn't even realize was emotional blockage. Doing this podcast also helped reaffirm self-care and feeding my soul with things that bring me joy. I didn't realize how just stepping out of my comfort zone to even learn how to produce this podcast and fully committing to it would be so therapeutic. Y'all, this is good for my soul. And I still have lots and lots of Sixers memories and stories to share with you. So without further ado, let's continue the story. Y'all, the year is now November 2019. And oh my goodness, I am the 2019 Fan-Sided Fan of the Year. This is insane. I told myself my entire life that I was the biggest Sixers fan that I knew. And now, not only was I being recognized as the biggest Sixers fan, but the biggest sports fan in a nationwide contest. I was extremely happy and I was proud of myself, and I couldn't wait to share my good news. I sent a screenshot of the winner notification email to my kids. My kids are my everything. Whenever I have good news, I go straight to my kids. They are actually my motivation to do great things. Like, I want to inspire my children because I want them to see that anything is possible. I then sent the same screenshot to my mom, my dad, my sisters, and Nina. Remember, I talked about Nina earlier. That's my father's wife. Because y'all, they make up my dream team. This is my squad. They support me in everything that I do. My phone immediately began ringing once everyone read my text, and it was fun sharing the excitement. Then I had to call my Sixers rep, Alex, because had it not been for her going to the Sixers organization and arranging the radio interview with Tom McGinnis and recognizing me at half court during a live Sixers game, showing my contest video on the Jumbotron, and prompting everyone in the Wells Fargo Center to vote for me, giving me that huge exposure, I honestly don't know if I would have won the contest. As soon as I heard Alex on the other end of the phone, I yelled, "Alex, I won! We did it!" Of course, Alex didn't want to take any credit and was humbled in the role that she played, but I made it a point to let Alex know how much I appreciated everything she did to make this happen. I then went to Facebook to make a post announcing my good news, and I followed up with a thank you video thanking everyone who voted for me and who supported me through this amazing journey. The outpouring of support that I received still gets me emotional. Complete strangers who were excited and happy for me. In fact, I'm sure a lot of you who are listening to this podcast right now and those who have followed me for years likely connected with me as a result of me winning the Fansided Fan of the Year contest. I saw that I was being tagged in lots of social media posts, and it was fun trying to keep up with all of the notifications. And I made it a point to read every single comment. It was all love. It was all love for me. And y'all, I cannot put into words what that felt like, other than keep using the words incredible and amazing. I even saw a post from John Markwart. He was one of the contest's top 5 finalists, and he was the Minnesota Vikings fan. And he posted on his social media, "Thank you to everyone who voted for me for Fan of the Year. It was fun to be a finalist, but I lost out to the 76ers fan. This is a new one for the Vikings. Losing to the Philadelphia 76ers? Y'all, I couldn't help but chuckle and feel good about this, because not only was I the only Sixers fan in the finals, I was the only one representing the NBA, and I was the only female. So of course, I was proud of myself, right? I just wanted to savor every moment. Fansided reached out and asked if I had a Twitter account. I did not, so I quickly made one along with an Instagram account. At the time, I only had Facebook, and I was happy with connecting to my approximately 500 friends. But then I began seeing the announcement of me winning the contest circulating all over social media. I started getting a bunch of friend requests. Y'all, I felt like a celebrity. I felt famous. And I'm sure y'all are wondering, well, Lauren, what was the prize? Like, other than the title, what else did you receive? Well, y'all, I received a bunch of Fansided swag. It was like t-shirts, sweatshirts. I got a $2,500 StubHub gift card, which was perfect because I was already a season ticket holder. So I decided to use the StubHub gift card to purchase Sixers tickets on the road. And being that Kendall played a huge part in creating the video that helped me win the contest that got everyone's attention, I thought it was only right that I bring her along with me on a few of the road games. And I was told I had to wait until early in the next year to receive my Fansided gifts. This was perfect. I had all of my trips lined up for 2020. I already had a trip planned for China in February, and that was already paid for. Yes, that was a little 50th birthday present that I was giving to myself because I was thinking, how nice would it be to be walking across the Great Wall of China on my 50th birthday? Then I thought I could use my StubHub gift card to purchase some road games for the second half of the season. And I still had to make sure I saved enough on my StubHub gift card in the event that our team made it far in the postseason. I wanted to be able to buy the best possible seat during the playoffs. And because I always believed in this team, I was just imagining sitting courtside during the Eastern Conference Finals. Or even the NBA Finals. This was great. I could plan my trips, give me something to look forward to in 2020, not thinking at all that there would be anything that could possibly disrupt my travel in 2020. Now, I know I was all caught up in being fan of the year, but y'all, don't get it twisted. I was still focused on my guys. So let's recap. It was still pretty early on in the 2019-2020 season. Remember, it's still like November. And we had started out strong, but then we began to struggle. And in mid-November, I posted on Facebook, we don't look like the same team that came out 5-0, but still too early to panic. I'll see where we are at 20 games, a quarter way through the season. Trust the process. Y'all, there was panic amongst the fan base. So I'd make another Facebook post. Y'all act like Elton Brand doesn't see the same things we see. I trust when the time is right, he'll make a move. Just chill. Y'all, I love my fellow Sixers fans, but nothing irks me more than fans who give up on the team and the players before we even get to the All-Star break. Keep in mind, at this point, it was only November. More fans were beginning to turn on Ben Simmons. Ben's lack of shooting was his Achilles, which was exposed, and now it was glaring with a neon spotlight. As talented as Ben was, he couldn't hide the fact that him not shooting was actually hurting the team. At this point, I was willing to be patient with Ben. Other fans, not so much. So I made another Facebook post. Damn, y'all been rough on Ben today, and I get it. Understandably so, but some of y'all are just mean. As long as he wears this uniform, he's still one of us, and I'm going to root for his growth and success. That was just the mama bear in me wanting to protect the players from the harsh criticism. Even though the criticism was warranted, I get it. But y'all, at the end of the day, I know these players, they make a lot of money, but I look at Ben at that time, he was around the same age as my kids. And I feel like it's a lot of pressure on these kids to perform, especially in Philadelphia. I'm not saying anything new. We all know how difficult it is to play in Philadelphia because of the expectations. So I could tell that even then that it was a lot of pressure on not only Ben, but Embiid, to be a part of this process that, was expected to get us to a championship. So I just felt like he had the talent. Ben Simmons had the talent. I just didn't want the fans to turn on him. And I felt like we could have just been a little bit more patient with Ben. Y'all, on November 20th, Alex told me she had a surprise waiting for me at the Wells Fargo Center. This was the first game I attended after winning Fan of the Year. I got to the arena early and walked around the concourse like I did before every game. I would always stop to take a commemorative game photo at the StubHub photo booth. It was part of my pregame routine. Well, on this particular night, I saw on the side of the StubHub booth in bright lights on a digital marquee screen, "Congrats, Lauren Gordon. StubHub welcomes you, the 2019 Fansided Fan of the Year winner. Go Sixers." Oh, y'all, how awesome is that? It's something about seeing my name in lights in a public place. I had never experienced that before. Then I was greeted by a representative in a suit, and I feel bad because I can't recall her name, and I'm usually good at stuff like that. But anyway, she was a representative there to greet me on behalf of StubHub and the Philadelphia 76ers. And y'all, she handed me an authentic Ben Simmons number 25 blue Sixers jersey. I was hype. And if you remember, at the time, StubHub was the official sponsor of the Sixers, and it had at the top of the jersey the little StubHub tag. And this was when we began seeing sponsors on the NBA jerseys. I was so excited to get another Ben Simmons jersey. Now, I had Ben Simmons jerseys, but I didn't have that one. So I could add that to my jersey collection. And y'all, I remember walking around the concourse, and there were a few fans and arena workers who recognized me and congratulated me for winning Fan of the Year. And y'all, this was my dream as a kid, to just spread Sixers joy wherever I went. Remember when I told y'all in the last episode that Ben had made a three-pointer? Well, y'all, that was just the preseason game. On November the 20th, Ben Simmons hit another three-pointer, but this time during a real regular season game. And I remember thinking, yes, Ben, keep freaking shooting. Y'all, back then, I was always going hard for Ben. I wish he would have just kept shooting. 3 days later, on November 23rd, it was Jimmy Butler's first game back to Philly after being moved to the Miami Heat. And y'all, I was torn because Jimmy was my favorite player at the time, but he no longer wore a Sixers jersey. So I was conflicted, but my loyalty will always lie with my Philadelphia 76ers. And if y'all remember, we swapped Jimmy for Josh Richardson. And Josh Richardson actually had a great game. He shot 6 for 7 from the three and ended up with 32 points to get us the definitive win over the Miami Heat, 113-86. Now, y'all, around this time, remember, Matisse Thybulle was coming into his own. Now, Matisse wasn't necessarily the best shooter or even scorer, but boy, could he play some strong-ass defense. And I affectionately called him Matisse Thybulle because he locked his opponents down. And he would always manage to get a steal every now and then with them long arms. And Matisse would grow to be one of my favorite players. I thought he had a promising future with our Sixers. Y'all, I'm sitting here checking my notes. On December 3rd, our Sixers were the 6th team in NBA history to start 10-0 or better at home in consecutive seasons. Damn, y'all, we were on freaking fire. And I remember a couple days earlier, Ben was interviewed by Sixers sideline reporter Serena Winters. Remember her, y'all? And she asked Ben about his thoughts on why we were winning at home, but we had difficulty winning on the road. And I remember Ben being nervous, and he replied, quote, "The fans were scared to lose in front of them," end quote. Y'all, and I remember thinking, uh-oh, damn. I had that video saved in my timeline, and I realized that he may have been joking, but I thought that there was a lot of truth behind his statement. I think Ben was scared of fan backlash, and I think he had a fear of not being good enough. Now, y'all, I'm no psychiatrist or anything like that, but that was always my thoughts on Ben during that time. And whenever that interview comes up on my Facebook memory, it makes me sad. Because if you look at him, like I mentioned earlier, he was just a kid. Like, I get he's an athlete and everything, but he was young at that time, and my heart went out to him. And as I mentioned also, I know why the fans turned against him, but there was still a part of me that felt bad for him. And at the end, looking back, I feel like we did Ben wrong, but I'll elaborate on my feelings about Ben Simmons later. So y'all, remember I told y'all I was getting a lot of Facebook friend requests and I was feeling like a little celebrity. And I was thinking to myself, how can I make a name for myself as Lauren Fan of the Year and milk my little 5 minutes of fame? Well, on December the 7th, I changed my social media name from Lauren Gordon to Lauren Fan of the Year. The timing was perfect because at this point, I had already been separated for almost 2 years, and I was considering divorce for the first time, and I felt like this marked the beginning of a new chapter, a beginning of me just being Lauren, and Lauren Fan of the Year was perfect. So being that I could not put any spaces in between words in the last name field, I had to bunch Fan of the Year altogether. So that's how I became, on social media, Lauren Fan of the Year. It has a nice ring to it. It's different. Lauren Fan of the Year. Cheers to new beginnings. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And be sure to tune in next week as we continue the story.